Alright, so now you've got all your parts. What are you supposed to do with them? Well, you're supposed to put them together into an assembly of the model. And to do that, we're going to have to create a new design by clicking this tab here. And before you can start assembling, you're going to have to save the design. So save, and I'm just going to do training assembly. And just make sure that's in the right folder, and save. Now that you have your assembly saved, you can start dragging parts into it. The first one I'm going to drag in is the booster tube. So just drag that in there. And there we go. That's going to be sort of my base. And now don't really have to do anything with that. So I'm going to start dragging in some more things. The next thing I'm going to drag in will be the, where is it? Training motor. And see how that spawned right in the center, right where we want it to? That's because I had these oriented, both of them coming off of the top pane and at the center of the top pane. That's why I like keeping things according to a consistent orientation. So I can just press OK. And if you want to see in there, you can actually change your display settings, and visual style, instead of shaded with visible edges only, you can do wireframe with hidden edges. And actually that doesn't give me quite good enough, so I'm going to say wireframe. And there we go. Now we can see the parts that are in there so far. Next, I'm just going to pull in the motor enclosure, and that spawned right where it was supposed to. Now, for something a little bit more fun, I'm going to drag in the Avionics Bay. Now that'll spawn right there, and I don't want it to be there, so I'm going to move that up to the top of this this booster tube. Now remember that booster tube is 45 inches, and the ring around this Avionics Bay is ½ an inch. So yeah, that's the Y distance, so I'm going to reset that back, and then say 45.5, not 455.5 inches. And there we go. That just moves it up to where we want it to be. And now we can move our parachute tube in. And let it load. Sometimes it likes being a little slow, and you'll just have to deal with that. There we go. And move that up to where it's supposed to be. So just Y distance, 46 inches, and that moves the bottom of it to right above the center of the Avionics Bay. Okay, now we've got our booster section. Let's add the coupler. If I can find it. There we are. And remember, we set the center of that to be its think about it as sort of the point from which we're moving it. So that's 30 inches plus 45 inches plus 1 inch. So that's 76 inches. Sorry, brain's a little frazzled at the moment. So 76 inches, that moves it right to where we want it to be. Then move our, not parachute, sorry. Get back to the assembly there. Payload tube. Stop that, and then pull it in. And then move that right to the same spot that we moved the center of the coupling tube to, so 76 inches. And that brings the base right up to there. And now the nose cone, drag in, and since the sort of base point from which we're moving the nose cone is the bottom of the bit that sticks up out of the payload tube, we just need to add the heights of the booster plus the parachute tube plus the booster tube plus the switch ring. So that would be 45 plus 1 is 46 plus 30 is 76 plus 25 is 106. That's not right. $101. I added 5 somewhere. This is what happens when I do not get enough caffeine in a day. Sorry about that. So 101 inches. And there we go. That goes right to the top of the payload tube. And now we've got the bits on the outside and the bits joining them together. And now let's add the centering rings. The first one is going to be right at the bottom of the fins, so it's going to be 1.75 inches up, because we just want the bottom of it to be flush with the fins. So 1.75. And then the other one we want to be, we want the bottom of it to be about 2 inches from the top of the motor tube. Motor tube is 53 centimeters, so that's about 20.87 inches, and then minus 2 actually, is 18.86614.173 inches. So let me just pull that in and get it there. So 18.86614.173 inches. And there we go. Now the bottom of it is 2 inches from the top of the motor tube, and the top of this one is 2 inches from the bottom of the motor tube. And now for the fins. The fins are a little bit screwier, but not a whole lot. So let's view this from the right. Firstly, we want to move it up 2 inches. And now, let's see, is that the X direction? No, it's the Z direction. So we want to move it from the center, the width, or the radius of the motor tube enclosure. So that will be 1.522007874, and now you see it's flush with the motor tube enclosure. All right, and now to duplicate that around the motor tube, we're going to click Move Copy and select Component and select that fin, rotate and create copy, select axis, and we'll just click any one of these parts that are circular and 180 degrees. And there, now you see it has created a copy that is 180 degrees. Okay. And now I just remembered something, which it's good that this happened in this this video. So I don't know if you saw or not, but there is a gap between the edge of the fin and the edge of the fin hole. That's because we constructed the fin from the front pane and didn't do it symmetric. That was just a brain fart on my part, but it's not that hard to solve for. Just click it, select move, component, select free move, and that would be X distance, and that will just be, I believe, -0.125 inches, and there we go. Now it's perfectly nestled in its little hole. And now we can do the rotate trick to create a copy. So components again, choose the fin, rotate, create copy, axis, any of the circular parts, and 180 degrees. And now that should be flush with the hole that it's supposed to be in. Run view, front view, here we are. Yep, that's perfectly where we want it to be. And now we just do that again. So components, and select both of these, create copy, axis, any of the round parts, and 180 degrees. Not 180, 90 degrees. What am I saying? All right, there we go. And now we have all of our fins, all of our parts are in the assembly, and just to make sure they don't go anywhere, I'm going to select all of these, click Assemble, and create a rigid group. So capture position, components, 14 selected, and OK. And now we've got a rigid group, and everything is where we want it to be. Change the visual style back to shaded with visible edges only, and there we go. There's our rocket. Now, I'm actually going to go back to wireframe, just as it's easier for me to make sense of things like that. Now that our assembly is done, save, user saved, and that's it for this video. The next video will be rendering. And actually there will be a video after that for making drawings for the parts. So I was incorrect in saying that there would be 3 videos. But that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time.